Welcome back to another episode of Pot and Talk. The very first episode that I did of this was about a year ago, and it's not that very good. The quality's pretty bad. Don't watch it. So welcome to the very new edition of Pot and Talk. For those of you who have been following along with the propagation series that I've been doing, we cut up my pink princess about 2 months ago now, something like that. And we've been watching the roots grow as I've been rooting them in water. And they are finally ready to be planted. So we're going to be planting those up today, along with some of the other cuttings that you guys have seen from my propagation videos. Also, just so that I'm not like sitting here talking about nothing or just talking to my plants, I'm actually going to make this video kind of a response to Betsy Begonia's latest repot video. In it, she talks about a couple different topics and she asks her followers for feedback. So this is kind of a response to her video and also a way to get to know some of you guys a lot better. I'm going to be spilling secrets, basically. Secrets and like stuff that people don't really talk about. I don't know. But yeah, let's get started and let's actually start with the pink princess. So this right here is the mother pink princess. It's kind of tall, but if I can show you like that. And it's got some pink on it. This was the leaf that we cut it back to in my pink princess propagation video. And I'll put the link to that video in the description below. But for these cuttings, we're just gonna plop most of these right back into this big pot, this big terracotta pot with the mother. One of them I'm gonna pot up and give to one of my sisters, even though I'm pretty sure she will kill it. But we'll see. So let's just take these out of the water. If you guys are curious to see what the roots look like, I'll post the link to the propagation video, the latest propagation video in the descriptions below. But I don't know if you guys can see, but the roots are pretty healthy. They're pretty nice and big. They're ready to be potted up. All I'm really doing is I'm going to take my aquascaping tweezers that I had when I used to have fish tanks. I'm just going to make a hole. And this is pretty dry actually, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna make a hole, and then I'm just gonna plunk this right into that hole. So actually, I want this to be closer to the moss pole that I made. And when you're potting, you obviously just wanna make sure that the roots are in the dirt. And then gently pack your dirt in around it. So the first question in Betsy Begonia's secret revealing repotting video was about hidden ambitions. What hidden ambitions do people have? And for me, I don't really know that I have any hidden ambitions. I think most of my ambitions are pretty much like out there. If I have an ambition, I'll tell people about it because I'm ambitious about it. I would say one of the like biggest ambitions that I have right now is getting this board game that I'm working on out. So for those of you who don't know, I've been doing the artwork for a board game called Season of Heroes. It's a fantasy themed board game where you kind of have your roster of characters and you send them on quests and you get victory points. It's kind of a big game. It was pretty ambitious on my part. Well, I guess there's an ambition, not really hidden, but. And we are nearing the final stages of the art. Well, I guess I'm nearing the final stages of the art. I'm working on it with my youngest sister and a couple of our friends. And it's pretty exciting seeing the whole thing come together. So I suppose like that's an ambition. I have a few loves besides plants. I mean, I love plants. Plants are great. But I really like board games. I really like writing and art and stuff. I also think that my books were kind of ambitious. So I am also a fantasy writer. I have 3 books out on Amazon right now. I think the 3rd one is up. They are a character-driven high fantasy series, sort of like medieval fantasy, kind of like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, you know, all those big fantasy names, even though it feels kind of self-righteous to be comparing myself to Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. And it was an ambitious project. I'm still working on it, and it's pretty deep. Like, it's not like children's fantasy or young adult fantasy. It's like adult fantasy, and there are some adult themes. The 3rd book deals a lot with character loss that they experienced from the first 2 books. Character loss and sort of character identity. There's a couple characters who deal with sexual identity because at the time that I was writing it, I was also dealing with sexual identity. So I suppose that kind of worked its way into the book. But yeah, as far as hidden ambitions go, I wouldn't say that any of them are really hidden. I think I'm pretty out and open with my ambitions and what I would like to get done and what I would like to do. But what about you guys? Do you have any hidden ambitions? Are there anything that you've always wanted to do but you're kind of afraid to tell people? Write it in the comment below, because if you can't share things with people in your real life, you can share things with people on the internet. And there we have it. Our pink princess is a bit fuller now. Hopefully this will lead to a bunch more pink growth. All of these leaves I cut off of this original mother plant because it wasn't putting out any pink growth, just like little tiny pink flecks. So I heard that if you cut it back, there's a chance that it will grow new pink leaves. So there's one plant done. This is actually just like a veggie tray topper, and I just filled it with soil. I mixed up soil with perlite and orchid bark just to make it nice and loose so that it's well draining, which most of these plants like anyway. There aren't actually a lot of plants that you want to just like put right into potting soil. I suppose if they like a more moist soil, then in that case you could probably get away with just potting something in potting soil. But you want to mix it with stuff just to make it more airy, because a lot of indoor houseplants like well draining soil. They don't want to be sitting in their soil because they're pretty prone to root rot. So again, I'm just going to take my aquascaping tweezers, make a hole in the middle, and then I'll plunk these guys in and backfill it a bit, and there you have it. So there's 2 pink princess plants in here. And at my sister's, these 2 probably won't last the month. So next I'm going to plant up my satin pothos. Originally I was going to shove the cuttings back into here, but this plant already looks pretty full. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to start a new satin pothos plant, because this is the only one I have right now, and I really love the leaves on these. They're just so nice. And this one is actually going to get a moss pole when I do the moss pole video. So yeah, I think I'll just start a new one. Most of my plants are in terracotta now because I like that terracotta wicks away the water from the soil, and I really need something that does that because I have a heavy hand when I water all of my plants. Basically, if they're not drowning, I'm like, you need more water, right? You want to be swimming. You want your soil to be wet. And the plants are always looking at me terrified for their life. So just like the pink princess, pothos are also epiphytic. I think I said that right? Epiphytic? So they also have aerial roots, which is why they do really well on a moss pole. And actually, if you give them a moss pole or something to trellis up, they kind of grow really large. The leaves will get huge compared to if you just have them vining or trailing down. So I actually have quite a few pothos, and I plan on giving a few of them a moss pole. And I'm actually going to cram quite a few of these satin pothos, because we have both of these, and we have our Boston pizza container full of pothos, and they're all going to go in here. So I'm going to cram them in really full to create a nice bushy satin pothos plant. So the second topic that Betsy Begonia had on her video that people kind of like keep secret or don't talk a lot about is beliefs and ideology. And how much time do you have? Because I could talk about beliefs and ideology all day long. Hello, this is Future Michael. I'm just coming in to say, when Betsy Begonia said that people don't really talk about their ideology or beliefs, she had good reason for saying that, because I have recently learned that when you post things about spirituality on any sort of forum, and especially when it's about Christianity and it's not necessarily traditional or, conservative or Baptist, Christians like to shit all over it and cherry pick the Bible and tell you exactly how you're wrong, but do it in a way that makes it seem like God is telling them that they're helping you. So you know what? Spirituality is just about personal acceptance. It's about your own sort of relationship with the Creator and the universe and how you reflect with that. And everybody's spirituality is different because everybody is individual and different. So you know what? Just go out and have your own individuality and your own spirituality and concentrate on that. And don't worry what all these other people think and have to say and how they just, want to ruin everything for you. Okay, so that's about as good as that's going to get. That was incredibly frustrating. Hopefully it grows, because, I don't know, a lot of these roots are just kind of sitting in the very top of the soil, so who knows what's going to happen with this plant. Give it some water. Water the table. And oh my gosh, I'm making a mess. Okay, and we'll set that aside and wait for it to slowly die. So this is what a vinca vine looks like. My mom has these outside during the summer, and I thought they were kind of interesting. I looked up if they could be an indoor plant, and it can, I guess. So I thought I would get one, but this one is pretty scrawny. It's got like 4 vines on it. Pretty scrawny. So we're just gonna put the vinca vine cuttings right into this one. So the next thing that Betsy Begonia talks about in her video are oddities or odd behavior. And then she asked if anybody had any, oddities or odd behaviors of their own. So do I? No, not at all. I am the picture of normalcy, obviously. I'm kidding. Obviously, I have some odd behaviors and abnormalities. My pancreas is an abnormality. It doesn't even work. I'm a very social person. I enjoy social settings and being out with friends and hanging out and stuff like that. But I have a personality type where basically I'm an introverted extrovert. So I'm very good in a social setting, but I need a lot of time to recharge from social settings. Not because, I don't enjoy hanging out with people. It's just, it drains your social battery, right? And everybody has a different level of social battery that they can handle and deal with. And mine just happens to be very low. Just leave me alone with my plants. I would say that another oddity of mine, I don't know if this is like odd, but I'm very interested and curious about spirituality. I really like learning about like different religions and different spiritualities, and just how similar and dissimilar a lot of them are. I just find that really interesting. I don't know. Is that like an odd behavior or an abnormality? I don't think so, but I don't know. Also, if you didn't watch my like regular 20 question video, I also have 2 uvula. So that's definitely an abnormality. I'm not going to show them here. The camera's too far away. But I'll post a link to that 20 question video where I do show my uvula, and it is pretty disgusting. So there's the vinca vine. I'll plant it up. This is my red maranta. If you've watched any of my like old videos from like a year ago, you'll know that I don't like this plant. This is probably my least favorite plant in my collection right now. I think they're very ugly. Yeah, there's nothing about this plant. Yeah, it looks pathetic. It looks pathetic. It grows weird. It's got ugly flowers. I'm not a fan. That being said, we did propagate some of the leaves just because it was like this. It was growing out really long, and it wasn't bushy up here. So I took some cuttings just so I could shove back in to make it a little fuller. It's really wet right now because I brought it in from outside, and I noticed there was a spider web on it. And when I washed it out, a huge spider came crawling out of there, and it kind of grossed me out because my hands were in this thing. And I'm not a fan of spiders. Spiders are gross. They're gross. They're creepy. The way they move is just unnatural. Ugh, I don't like them. Yeah, don't like spiders, never will. Yep, there we've potted them up in the back. Just added to this clump of prayer plant. This prayer plant needs quite a bit of prayer. Yeah. So next we're gonna pot up these little peperomia obtusifolia cuttings. They could use a little more time in water, but the roots are actually pretty good and they're growing really well. So I'm just going to put them right back into the mother plant because that's what I was going to do with them anyway. So this is the mother plant. This is my peperomia obtusifolia. It's pretty new. I only got it in February, I want to say. I do really like this peperomia obtusifolia. I just wish it was bushier. It grew kind of long, so that's when I cut these off, and all I'm going to do is just shove these back into the soil like I've been doing with some of these other plants. So the next secret that Betsy Begonia talks about are bad habits and addictions. Do I have any bad habits or addictions? Of course I do. So I wouldn't say that like plants are a bad habit, They're not an addiction. I'm not addicted to buying plants. They're not a bad habit. They're actually a really good habit that have helped me out quite a bit. So plants aren't a bad habit. I do bite my nails. Not so much lately, which is kind of weird. I had that habit since I was a child, but lately it kind of just, I don't know, went away. But I do bite my nails, especially if I'm like watching TV, which I rarely do. Maybe that's why I've stopped biting my nails, because I don't watch as much TV. So there's that. I also am trying to break an addiction to Diet Pepsi. As a type 1 diabetic, I would only drink, diet soda, because there's obviously a lot of sugar in regular cola. So I would always drink Diet Pepsi, and I found that I am very much addicted to it, and I do not like that. So I'm trying to replace that with water by drinking like green tea, but green tea just tastes like dirt water to me. But I don't really have like addictions. Like, does that mean drugs or anything like that? Like, I don't drink a lot. I don't drink as much as like, some people drink. I do smoke weed, but like in Canada it's legal. I never really smoked weed until it was legal. So there we just kind of shoved, you can't even tell where I shoved in the new cuttings, but they're in there. So the very last thing that we're going to be potting up today is this neon pothos. I put these pothos cuttings in with the pink princess cuttings to help them grow a little bit faster. Pothos have this enzyme in the roots that when they grow in water, they help promote root growth in other plants as well. So if you have a plant that is taking quite a while to form roots in water, try throwing a pothos in with it, and it might make a huge difference when it comes to rooting it. I'm not really a big fan of the neon pothos. My mom has a couple of these, and these are from one of my mom's plants. And it's the color that kind of turns me off. I don't really like this neon green in plants. Some people absolutely love it, but it's just kind of like, it's too yellowy for me. But I have a shelf up here. I don't even think it's in the video. I don't have my glasses on, so I don't even know if the video's on. But I'm gonna pot this up and put it up on that shelf and have it trail down. And if it doesn't get enough light and it gets leggy, it's not gonna matter to me, because it's just a neon pothos. So the last secret that Betsy Begonia talks about are lies. And if you have any like big lies that have been bothering you for your whole life. And I would say, well, I lied about my sexuality for quite a long time. But I wouldn't say that bothered me. There were some like little lies here and there that I still think about, and think about how stupid it was that I did those. For example, there was this one time I was out of school. So I must have been 21 or 22 at the time, and my youngest sister was in high school, but I won like a free portrait thing to have pictures taken, and Father's Day or Mother's Day or something like that was coming up, and I thought, oh, it'd be really nice if like me and my sister surprised my parents with like a professional portrait. But the only time that we could schedule it for was during school hours. So I called into my sister Victoria's school and pretended to be our dad, and was like, oh, hello, I'm signing Victoria out for school. She has an appointment to get her picture taken for family portraits, blah, blah, blah. And the secretary was like, oh, who is this? And I was like, oh, this is Brian. This is her dad, Brian. And she was like, okay. So then Victoria got let out. We went to go get the pictures done. And then we get a call from my dad. And my dad is like, what are you guys doing? And we were like, what do you mean? And he was like, I got a call from Victoria's school that someone suspicious who said that she was Victoria's dad was signing her out. So then we had to tell my dad, okay, I pretended to be you so that we could surprise you and mom with a professionally done portrait. And my dad just kind of laughed and said, okay. But what I didn't know was that the secretary at her school, she went to a different high school than me and my other sister Christine went to. But she was our secretary in high school, so she knew who I was. She knew my voice. So she was on to me right from the beginning. And so like, yeah, it was a lie. It was wrong, but it was still pretty funny. And everybody knows that if you're lying for humorous reasons, then it's okay. So there we have it. We potted up that little gross neon pothos, and it should grow viney and long and leggy, and I will not like it. So there you have it. Our pink princess experiment has come full circle. Now all these cuttings are back in the pot with the mother plant, and hopefully they'll start pushing out really nice pink growth. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants, and on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants, and reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching. Bye!